Bashaud, Breeland, or Cameron Dantzler is the question that Mike Zimmer is facing going into this big, almost must. It is a must-win game versus Seattle Seahawks this Sunday at 4:25 in the Minnesota Vikings home opener. This is a huge decision for Mike Zimmer, and he's going to have to kind of go through all the variables and understand, should he still remain with Bashaud Breeland or should he go with Cameron Dantzler? I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts. I think this is a fun debate because you kind of get – it's very two different situations. There's positives and negatives on both sides. Bashaud Breeland or Cameron Dantzler, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. If you guys are new here, please subscribe to the channel. Best way to help me out, daily Minnesota Vikings videos. But let's get into it right now. Starting off with Bashaud Breeland, he came over from Kansas City last year, and my initial reaction when we kind of got this trade was, I know Bashaud Breeland's talented. I know that. I know he has. He's been in the NFL for 8 seasons. He started on Super Bowl teams. He obviously has talent. But my initial thought of Bashaud Breeland is, I feel like he always gets picked on. And this was kind of the reputation that me just watching the Kansas Cities and their big primetime games and their big playoff games, it always felt like when the other teams needed to attack a corner on Kansas City, it seems like 21. It seems like Bashaud Breeland was the guy that they would attack. And then if we're reflecting on weeks 1 and 2 of this current season, it kind of seems the same. Whenever Jamar Chase was lined up one-on-one with Bashaud Breeland and they had that man-to-man, Burrow was looking for it over and over again. And if we remember that one deep ball to Jamar Chase with 40 seconds left in the first half when the Bengals had no timeouts, this is just something, it really bothers me that the Vikings even gave this up and that Zimmer would even allow this to happen. But Bashaud Breeland just pretty much lets Jamar Chase jog right by him for a 50-yard touchdown. At least give some resistance. This is where my problem with Breeland really has come. It doesn't seem like he's playing aggressive. It doesn't seem like he's I'm not going to say he's not trying, but it doesn't seem like he is fully engaged in the physical aspect of being an NFL cornerback. I think he's so far in his head about technique and being in the right spot because, listen, Zimmer asks a lot of these corners. So if you're not used to the expectation of Mike Zimmer, it can be daunting. And I think with all the mental aspect of the Mike Zimmer defensive system for cornerbacks, Breeland's kind of losing that physical aspect. He's kind of, I can count on my hands probably the amount of times I've seen him put his hands on a receiver, which in my opinion, I think corners, you have to be physical. You have to go give the receiver you got to throw them off their course even just a little bit. And the play that also sticks out for me for that, not just the Jamar Chase touchdown, but the AJ Green kind of throwing it out to him. He makes one move, puts his foot in the ground. It's an easy 8-yard touchdown. There's just no resistance. And that's the point of the cornerback position. Even if you're in perfect position, you still can't get beat. But it's a point of giving the wide receiver resistance over and over again, getting them frustrated. That's what we kind of saw Pat Pete last week versus D-Hop. D-Hop got him on the first play, on the first drive with that touchdown, but then he just stayed with his technique. He stayed with it over and over again, getting D-Hop a little frustrated, and which is it kind of caused Kyler to start looking off D-Hop more at the end of the game. However, Breeland does bring experience that Dantzler does not have. Now on to Dantzler. Dantzler's been this really wild roller coaster of should he play, should he not, is he good, is he bad, since he's kind of entered the league. I remember last year, first probably 8-9 games, he was really not good. He gave up big plays. He gave up clutch plays, especially the one against Seattle. That's the one that really sticks out to me. 4th and 10, DK Metcalf one-on-one with him on the outside. Why DK's one-on-one with Cameron Dantzler on 4th and 10? I don't know. You got to ask Mike Zimmer that. But he gave that up. Then he gave the game-winning touchdown up in the same game to DK Metcalf when DK was running an over route and Dantzler got caught up on a screen. And there's a miscommunication, again, for Mike Zimmer's secondary. However, at the end of last season, Dantzler balled. His length, I think, really bothers receivers. And yes, he is a skinny dude, but he plays physical in the run game. He plays physical at the line of scrimmage, which is something Bashaud Breeland kind of lacks, or he chooses not to play that way as his style of corner. And I think just with the way the Vikings system is set up, Pat Pete will normally, I think now he's kind of solidified that wide receiver 1 where he will be taking that main guy, especially after this past week. Mac will always be in the slot, I'm assuming, but at that other kind of cornerback position, Cameron Dantzler might have to be the option. He's long, he bothers. I would go towards Dantzler. I think Breeland, with just too many critical mistakes, we kind of know what we have with Breeland too. He could be a great rotational piece where you can throw in when we're going to our nickel package, where it'd be him and Chris Boyd maybe rotating. But I think we need to start Dantzler, work out those growing pains. This is a great next 2 weeks with the Browns and Seahawks to go test Dantzler, especially Seattle. Go get him the chance, go get him reps, and we'll see what we got from there. I would say lean towards Cam Dantzler over Bashaud Breeland at this point. But we don't know. It depends on what Mike Zimmer sees on film. If he thinks Breeland still has a better opportunity to be effective versus Seahawks than Cameron Dantzler does, I would just lean towards Dantzler because of his length. I think he can bother DK. He's not as physical as DK, but I think with playing DK last year, he can learn from it. They can watch that film, and he can develop into this year 2 player that we are seeing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below. Breeland, Dantzler, who would you guys go with as your starting quarterback for week 3 against the Seahawks? Skol Vikes.